In this video from ITFreeTraining, I will look at installing VMware Tools on Lubuntu, but the process is pretty much the same regardless of which version of Linux you are using. VMware Tools installs additional drivers in the operating system which may make devices available that were not available before, and also improves the responsiveness and performance of the virtual machine. To get started, I will change to my workstation which is running the vSphere client. To start installing VMware Tools, I will first right-click on the virtual machine. From the menu, select Guest, and then select the option Install Upgrade VMware Tools. A message box will appear explaining that installing VMware Tools will give you enhanced graphics and better performance, but in order to start the install, the guest operating system needs to be running. Since my guest operating system is running, I will select the option OK. What will happen now is the ISO containing the VMware software will be mounted and made available to the operating system via the virtual optical drive. In order to start the install, I next need to log in. Once logged in, the next step is to open a terminal to run additional commands. To do this, I will go to the Start menu and select LXTerminal located under Accessories. In order to perform administration on a Linux system, you need to use what is referred to as root access. Rather than use root access all the time, Linux comes with a command called sudo. Sudo will run a single command with root access, meaning the user does not need to log in as root itself or an account with the same access. To find out more about sudo or any other command, enter in man, which is short for manual, followed by the command that you are interested in. This shows the help for that command, otherwise known as the man page. You can press enter to scroll down a single line, or spacebar or page down to scroll a page at a time, and lastly page up to go to the previous page. Once finished, press Q to quit, and this will exit back to the prompt. Sudo can be used to run single commands. However, in this case, I will run sudo followed by su. Su stands for superuser, and this effectively changes the command prompt to one with root access. Once I enter in the password, the user will change to root. This will give me the access required to install VMware Tools. The software is available on the optical drive. To access it, change the directory to Media, Router, VMware Tools. The software is compressed, so I'm going to copy it using the cp command to the temp directory. The temp directory is used by Linux for temporary storage. The directory is considered volatile, so don't expect anything that you place in here to be available later. In this case, I only want somewhere to decompress the files for the install, so the temp directory is a good location for this. I will now change to the temp directory and run the command gunzip, followed by the file name. Gunzip will decompress files with a gz extension. Notice, however, that before gz is tar. Tar is software that was originally designed to be used with tape drives to combine a lot of files and folders into one file. Single tapes are sequential in nature, that is, data needs to process in order. Software needed to be developed for tape drives to combine multiple files into one stream. Nowadays, tar is also used to combine multiple files and folders into one file for ease of use. To extract all the files to the hard disk, use the command tar-xvf, followed by the file name. There are a lot of switches for tar, but these three letters essentially say extract the files, give verbose output, and input should be taken from a file. You will notice that once I run the command, the files for the tar file will be restored back to their original files and folders. Now that the files have been extracted, I can change to the directory of the install files for the VMware Tools. The next step is to run the install script for the VMware install. This ends in PL for Perl. Perl is one of the many scripting languages supported by Linux. I have added the -d switch, which automates the install. Otherwise, you will be asked a lot of questions during the install. With the "-d switch, you will notice that I will only get asked a few questions, in which I can accept the defaults. The process on this computer takes a few minutes to complete, but I've sped up that process so that we do not have to wait. Once complete, the next step is to reboot the virtual machine. However, before I do that, I'm going to apply updates and configure the virtual machine to automatically download updates. If I go back a directory, I can run the rm command for remove with the switches R and F followed by the directory of the install files. This will remove the directory, including any subdirectories. If I type in cd by itself, this will take me to my home directory. If I enter in pwd, this will show that the current directory is root, meaning that I am currently logged in as root. If I select Software Updater from the taskbar, this will show the current update settings for the virtual machine. You can see that the virtual machine is currently configured to check for updates daily. The next option displays updates when they are available. In this case, I will change this option to Download and Install Automatically. Since this virtual machine will be used as a router, I want the virtual machine to run with as little administrator interaction as possible. Since I am changing an update setting, I will be prompted for a password. Once I exit out of here, the setting will be saved and the virtual machine will automatically update by itself. I will get a prompt stating some updates have been found and do I want to install them. In this case, I will close the dialog box and not install the updates at this time, as I want to install the updates from the command line. To do this, all I need to do is first run the command apt-get followed by update. This command does not install any updates. What it essentially does is updates the locally stored list of available packages. This is used to compare what is installed locally with what is available on the internet. Before you install additional packages, you should ensure this list is up to date. Otherwise, you may not be installing the latest packages that are available. Once the list is updated, I will run the command apt-get followed by upgrade. This will upgrade any existing packages on the system where there is an update available online. The process on this computer took just under 10 minutes to complete, so I will pause the video and return later on. The system has now been upgraded and VMware Tools have been installed. In order to complete the process, all that needs to happen now is the system needs to be rebooted. Installing VMware Tools will improve the overall performance of the virtual machine, but it also installs additional device drivers. For example, if your network adapter was not being detected, installing VMware Tools may help install the missing driver. Once the system has rebooted, notice that one of the most noticeable features of VMware Tools is that the mouse moves seamlessly between the virtual machine and the operating system. Before VM Tools was installed, you would need to press the Control and Alt keys together in order to release the mouse from the virtual machine. Thanks for watching this video from ITFreeTraining. I hope you found it useful, and I hope to see you in the next video. Thanks, and see you next time.